If you want to be on you will have your questions answered live and you will be recorded. So just you're giving complete consent to that. All right, Miss Maddie, I know that we were talking to Christina and we were so excited because you were gonna share with us a topic for just the ultimate wellness hacks. So we could learn from you, because some of our listeners and our book club members didn't get to read the full book, but they're really curious and interested. And some people are their biggest fans, and we were really stoked to come up to your book launch in New York. We didn't do it. We were so upset with the babies and all that stuff. We weren't able to be there. So anyway,
I feel you. That's why I wanted to be there, but I have, babies and life, and we'll all link up and do divine timing. But this is so cool, personally, that we get to hang out here, just in the comfort of, personally, my little office and cool bedrooms with cool witchy moon catchers behind you, Sue, loving that, and cozy bookstores. So yeah, thank you so much to Kara for having me, for coordinating this, and everyone for being here. And if you didn't get a chance to read the book, that's totally fine by me. I don't know the last time I read a book cover to cover. Again, I have two under two Irish twins, so I'm just happy if I can read an email nowadays. And the cool thing about this book is I did design it to be read or digested or as a guide in a few different ways. So that might be a nice intro into the kind of astrology as a wellness hack conversation. So one, you could read the book cover to cover. My hope, my intent is that it can be a self-development guide. It could be something that's part permission slip, pep talk, just feeling oh yeah, maybe I need to hear that today, outside of if you know anything about astrology. I try to keep this very broad storytelling, tools, tips, things where we're not getting so much into just the technical space of astrology, but more of it as a map to better understand you and your soul, and to help you feel permission to be just your most authentic and magnetic self. And then so you could read it cover to cover. You could read it for parts of your chart, oh, this is my sun sign. So to understand how I share my light, this might be a great way to, understand that in this key, which I'm going to get into that in a moment. The third way, which I kind of love for someone who's a little bit more slower digester of information, is that every chapter correlates to a zodiac sign. And I've had so many moments where I've re-fallen in love with astrology, but one of my big ahas was in my early 30s. I was running a business, and this was big, 10 years ago, and everyone was like, self-care, self-care. And I was like, yes, I want to have self-care, but it is actually starting to feel stressful to me because I'm trying to come home and I'm trying to biohack my life and drink my green juice and take my probiotics and do my financial health and clean out my closet. And this is becoming overwhelming. And then I realized that every zodiac season just has kind of a cosmic assignment to help you live in more divine alignment. As the sun lights up a part of the sky, it's like all of us are sort of naturally going to tune into universal themes. And when we can use that time, it helps us prioritize things, and it also helps us kind of amplify what we're doing, and then sets us up for success for the rest of the year until that season again. So right now, as of, literally less than 24 hours ago, we just entered Scorpio season. So, if you wanted to read key 8 in the book, I will not be shamed. Well, first of all, you're not starting in the shallow end of the pool there. That's a big key and a big topic, but it's so important because it talks all about reclaiming all the parts of ourselves that we think are too much, or we have to tuck away, or that we have to tone down or dim. And what does it really mean in Scorpio season to really befriend all parts of ourselves, and therefore really owning our power in a different way. So there's that. And then my last way, I always love to read the book. This is how I read a lot of books. It's just straight up bibliomancy. Anybody ever done that? Just picked up a book and be like, what do I need to know today? And flip open a page. That's my favorite way to read a book, because I'm a New Yorker, again, mom of two under two. I run businesses. I have this crazy dog who just came in here too. And some days I'm just like, what do I need to know as spirit? And I just open a page. So in terms of reading the book, there's so many different ways. And my hope would be to engage and interact with this book to meet you where you're at, right? In your stage of life. Now I'm about to share a little resource in the chat. about like getting into the birth chart of it all. But before I do that, does anybody have any questions or reflections or anything that you want me to like repeat or clarify from what I just said? This Kara is doing hand signals. I'm like, are we voguing or hi? Okay, good. Okay, we're all good. Okay. Um, okay, so I'm gonna share a little linky poo in the chat. Does anybody here like, I guess where are we at with astrology? I'm guessing everyone here knows like their sun sign. That's like when people ask you, what's your sign, baby, right? Like the season you're born in. I'm a Virgo. So if anybody knows their sun sign, you can drop it in the chat for sure. And I'm going to drop something in the chat that is a tool that me and my business partner designed. Oh my God, it was like 7 years ago now. As a we were like, let's just create this thing because we were doing events in New York City and trying to teach people about how to use their birth charts for self-care, aka maybe how to be a little bit more like regulated and grounded in this crazy city. And we realized that the second someone pulled up their chart with that wheels, anybody ever pulled up your birth chart? It is so overwhelming. You look at like the lines and the glyphs and the squiggles, and you're like, these aspects and these words, sextile and trines, what does this all mean? So we wanted to create something that's kind of like a Mad Lib. Like, it's not your whole chart, there's so much more to go off of, but just an immediate like take of like, okay, what's the little story of my soul? What's something to come back to as a touch point, as an anchor, and maybe a little bit like a translation of my chart in a more easy to not only digest but integrate way. So if you click on that link, you can enter your birth day, your location, and your time. If you don't know your time, you can click birth time unknown, and everything will most likely be accurate except for your rising or ascendant. Again, if you don't understand any of these words, that's okay. But I'm just dropping this here because when we talk about astrology for wellness, um, I think that astrology, it can be kind of polarizing for people, or people are just like off put by it. And I think because a lot of our access and entry point to astrology is horoscopes, right? Or things, or like memes making fun of, being a Gemini or a Sagittarius or something. And horoscopes, some people can write really good horoscopes, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the ones, especially ones you see, in the back of the newspaper growing up or wherever, they're a little vague, they're a little broad, and it's only like one small aspect, one like iteration of astrology. What I love using astrology is really like, I've always been that person that was born like I have a lot of access to the intuitive realms, a lot of information. I feel very connected to the mystical realm, but in the human form, I'm like, wait, what am I doing? Like, this is so confusing. Who am I? How do I show up as my best self? How do I understand that intuition and actually like harness it? What is my purpose? I always felt like I was born with a big mission that didn't really fit a lot of like the cookie cutter, more career paths I was seeing. And when I started to understand astrology as this like deep guide to coming home to yourself, to learning how to articulate your needs, wants, desires, how to understand your emotions, how to understand how other people are perceiving you, everything. I think every question you could possibly ask, the answer lies within your chart. And so when we talk about astrology for wellness, I would love for you to, if you can, pop your information in there, even just starting with your sun and your moon. So most people probably know your sun sign. That's what I just said, right? So who here knows their moon sign or is able to pull it up on this app? Okay, great. Someone want to drop in the chat, like just so I can get a vibe check. What kind of moons are in the room with me right now? Ooh, Maleficent is here. One of my favorite literary characters. Gemini, Gemini moon, Scorpio moon, Matt. Okay, I love it. Of course, the curious Gemini moon, lifelong learner, and Scorpio moons who want to go into the deeper parts of life are here in the chat. That makes so much sense. Okay, Aquarius moon. Oh, I love my I'm married to an Aquarius moon. I'm so grateful for them. I'm Pisces moon, so I'm always deep in my emotions. My husband, his Aquarius moon energy is, I would say, delightfully non-sticky in the emotional realm. Leo moon, so much warmth and creativity and playfulness. Cat moon. Oh, Sue, I like this combo. Virgo rising, Scorpio. Okay, everyone, when Sue wants to do something, just get out of the way. Like, just get out of the way. That is a powerful big three. Um, okay. We have a Libra stellium, it looks like for Kara, and a cat moon. Great. So sun and moon. Okay. So when we talk about self-care and wellness through the chart, and Kara, you just cut me off, like when we can jump into the Q&A, but I'm going to give you just two things to think about with the sun and the moon. Again, in the back of the book, I love a Mad Lib, as you said, I love breaking stuff down. But you'll see on page 202, when you get it in the back, there's like a little appendix, a little tool, a level tool, love a little chart. Um, like I was saying, one way to work with the book is to read different parts of your chart. And I was trying to break down like the ways that astrology can align you, instead of just defining you, like you are this sign, therefore you're this way. And like less of that, more of like, oh, as a sun, Taurus sun, these are some of the things that I need to live my authentic expression. These are some of the things I need. So what I wrote here for your sun sign is what is needed to live my authentic self-expression. This is where my personality shines and I can be my true self. When I plug into the energy of this key, so you can look up the key for your sun sign, I let my natural light radiate and I can live in my full vitality. So everyone can like think about their, so for the Taurus key is key two, and key two, which is one of my favorite, the first key, second key is I'm allowed to feel good. So of course you could read the whole chapter, you could go into all the tips and tricks, but even that, knowing that as a Taurus sun, like I'm using Sarah's example here, that one of your biggest mantras, your affirmations to embody and live in all you do is I'm allowed to feel good. And what this does for you is think about the sun, right? Like your sun sign. What are some words that we associate with the sun? Like you let me know in the chat. Let's make it like a grade school interact. What's the sun? What's the sun, Mr. Golden Sun all about, right? Like we feel warmth. Yes, Matt, that took the words out of my mouth. We feel warmth in the sun, joy, right? Like the mood that today was a sunny day in Manhattan. And I'm like, I can handle anything, right? When the sun is out, you feel joy, you feel alive, you feel hopeful, vitality, right? Like the sun energizes and nourishes all of life, really. The sun is being visible, right? It's out during the day. So if you are someone, and I hope you are, who wants to live in all of these things in warmth, in radiance, in the full expression of their joy, of the authentic brilliance that you're here to share in the world, really understanding your sun sign is really important. And that's for three reasons. One, it really connects you to your actual physical vitality. And I lost track of this a little bit along the way. I got so in the spiritual journey, when I was starting in this world, I was like, ooh, the esoteric realm. Let me go higher and higher and higher, and let's just float up here. And ooh, I'm in the ninth dimension. This is so cool. But then I started to really ungrounded, really flaky, not really feeling great in my body, and not really able to get anything done and digest everything I was experiencing. And then it hit me like, oh yeah, I'm in this human body for a reason. So what does my Virgo sun need, right? And I talk about in the Virgo chapter, practice makes magic. My Virgo sun loves practices, loves rituals, loves so many things. And the more that I embodied a lot of what I share in that Virgo chapter, I literally felt my inner power like turn all the way up, and radical changes started happening in my life. Like the things I was manifesting were not only happening, but I was enjoying them, because before that I was manifesting, but I was really stressed out. It was kind of just like, whoa, all this stuff is kind of overwhelming, and am I really ready for it? And it felt really like slippery, and it felt really scattered. So your sun sign is your vitality and your physical container to hold your light. And it's also how you turn up your light and on your light, and how you get to share your brilliance, your healing, your magic with the world in a way that doesn't necessarily take so much strain and stress from you. So it's like how you're sharing your light with others. And it's very much who you're here to become in that sun sign expression. So you also want to know, too, your sun sign can be where you can slip into the shadow of that, because it's like you're learning to be the sun sign. So you can go like Virgo energy. I love to be organized. I love to, I love my details, but that can slip. I talk in the book about when to shelve, when to pull back the energy, especially in your sun sign. When does that detail oriented self turn into like obsession over details, that analysis paralysis, that perfectionism, because every detail isn't right. So I get paralyzed by that. Or where does that discernment turn into criticism, turn into judgment of self, right? And others. So like every one of us has this octave of all the signs, but I find especially in our sun sign, we're here to really understand like how to be in the light of that. And then what I love about being in your sun sign is that just being in that light, you teach other people. It's like you're modeling for them. You're being a leader, and that is what each and every one of you are here to be. It doesn't have to look in a certain way that we like perceive it to be, but you're here to lead through your sun sign and show other people, look, I'm really picking on Sarah's Taurus sun right now, but like, hey, look at Sarah's Taurus, how she's so earthy and grounded and connected to the five senses. And as she allows herself to feel good, oh, I can do that too, or I should do that too, or look how fun that is, right? And as humans, we really do well when we see other people, right, living in an embodiment of an energy beyond just thinking about it, meditating on it, praying for it. So when we get to be in our sun sign, especially, it's like we give permission for other people, like our light activates something in their light, right? Because we carry all 12 signs. I have Taurus in my chart somewhere. It's just dormant. There's not any planets there, not any major angles. So that's the sun sign. That's a big thing for the wellness. Okay. Any questions on that? And then we'll open up, I know, like larger questions, but immediate, something you may circle back to. We have a question on there. Now, Kara, should
Okay, I found,
oh,
sorry, I was waiting I was trying to figure out
I'm
how
not.
to use the mobile device. Okay, and then she's gonna mute me so we don't feedback when you're talking back. So we have a lot of questions, and for those of you in the chat, please pop in if you have anything at any time. Emily will reiterate them to me so we can delineate and ask questions. How about this? I would like to start with your first question, because you're almost peeing your pants being here tonight, and I feel like I want you to just share this first question here, and I can reiterate what you mean if you need to reword it.
Okay. Um, Hi, my name is Brittany. I'm super happy to meet you and excited. So I have a question for you. And what are your thoughts on flirting with life? I just feel like you you flirt with life all the time, and I would love for you to share like whatever you'd like to share about that.
Jump off. Okay, so flirting with life. That is one of my favorite like pieces of non-traditional spiritual advice, right? I would like to say, like, life is waiting to flirt back with you. It's like a cute boy or girl who's like trying to get your attention, and you're just like in your books at school, and your friends are like, "Do you know that person's flirting with you?" Like, so I think like flirting with life, and I would like to say like, moving through life like you're trying to seduce the universe. Literally, even just saying that, just telling yourself that's what you're doing before you leave the house shifts your whole energetic field, because now you get to drop into a place of playfulness and joy. And, I always like to say there are really serious things happening in the world, especially right now. But actually, one of the keys to them is like not taking ourselves so seriously, like moving through life with a little extra. And like think about what flirting is. It's really connecting to your life force, right? It's giggle medicine. It's a little glamour magic. Like we're gonna flirt, you know, maybe put on a lip balm, we toss the hair a little bit. And it's remembering that like everything that we get to do physically is part of embodying, right, that open tingly energy. So I like to really tap into my Venus energy because again, I love flirting with life, but again, I've been at the crossroads of some heavy shit, especially the past like year or two, lots of loss and grief. And so I've been so grateful to astrology as a roadmap to come back to that place of flirting with life and like how do I get back there? So for everyone, I would say your Venus and maybe your Mars, but let's start with your Venus sign is a way your Venusian energy is like it's open energy. It's like flowers behind me. It's like it's wide are we drawn into a flower? We talked about the sun before. Now let's talk about a flower. It's like oh my gosh, the fragrance, right? Like it's open, the bees come to it. We all love like flowers, whether it's walking by them outside in nature, wildflowers, or gifting someone or yourself flowers can just shift the energy of a space. And I always think of Venus energy in our chart is how we learn to become open and magnetic like that, and how we tap into magnetism, charisma. And for me, my Venus is in Libra. So it's a very literal, I'm in my Venus return right now. But for me, I had to learn, you know, Libra is ruled by Venus. So it's like beautiful things. I had to learn to give myself permission that in my Venus energy, like I like beauty. I like things to be aesthetic. I do. I feel better after I get a manicure or a blowout. And my whole life, between being a little bit tomboyish growing up and then going into the spiritual realm where it felt like that's like silly or superficial, I had to be like, no, that after I get a blowout, I feel like I'm flirting with life and life's flirting back to me. And I can show up better for my clients, my community, my partner, my children, because I got a blowout. And like, it might be silly, but it's not silly because it's right there in my Venus. So, um, in here in the book, I say, yeah, your Venus sign is what is needed for me to feel loved and appreciated. It connects you to your values, relationship to money, preferred aesthetics. And this key helps understand what I value the most and how I express my love language and heart's truth. So I would say start with your Venus, and then it's kind of like everything in the chart feels like to me archetypal work, feels like cosmic costuming or divine dressing up, where maybe I'm having a day, I'm not feeling cute, I'm not feeling super light and sparkly, but like, oh, I'm going to literally dress up like my Venus sign. I am going to put on that Venus energy before I leave the house and remind myself to be in that place, right? Of flirtatious energy. Anything could happen. And the last thing I'll say is that um, I actually always usually talk about that as a spiritual prescription during Libra season that we just left. It seems silly, but flirting is such about the art of connection, right? And we are so craving connection now more than ever. So I love that we're all here. I love that you're doing this. Like to look in someone's eyes and to see them and be seen. And again, nothing even about anything like sexual or sensual or going beyond that, but just to look at someone and be like, oh my God, I love, right? I love your jacket. I love like how you did this. Moving through life with that connection, whether it's someone you know or someone checking you out or a barista, it's like oh, it's fire, right? It's spark, it's life force energy because part of what we need is like that mirror and that connection and that seen and being seen through other people. So I love that, Brittany. Thanks just for like opening us up with something that I'm so passionate about. I could write a whole second book about like flirting with life and why it's the key. So you really like tapped into something there. Do you have any questions or downloads or anything that you want to share from that?
Um, thank you. No, I love that. That was amazing.
I kind of feel like we do that.
Yeah,
Like you always like this is how you already are. You eat.
I do try to flirt with life a lot with everything. Yeah. So I feel like it's contagious too. So
Yes.
yeah.
People who like you go out and they're just served. I then had a server and she's like, I love your blush. And I'm like, I love your necklace. And then we're just like clacking. We become Instagram friends. We're gonna get coffee next week. The whole rest of the day, I was like, life is magical. And it's like romanticizing, right? Just the mundane and turning it magical.
Oh,
Yes, I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, thank you so much.
Ask
um,
off the jump.
next question we have is, so speaking of this connection and like flirting and this like really deep intimacy that we're seeking, you know, not necessarily romantic always, but like this intimacy, you have an amazing community, and we're really curious how your community might have influenced you writing this book. And I'm gonna put two questions in one here. First, how did it influence you writing this book? And you are coming up with a relationship. You have a relationship workshop coming up, and we're kind of curious how you integrated in this book, in if it's integrated into the workshop, and how you might have used that to find your life wizard.
He's such a treat. So yes, I love, okay, I'm gonna try and address all of this and not go into too many tangents. So my community, like literally they are this book. Like I think I'm a Virgo. I'm a New Yorker. I need the proof in the pudding before I'm gonna put something in a book or out in a course or out in the world. And like, okay, certain practices have worked for me or with my family or one or two of my clients. But it wasn't until I saw my community take some of this medicine and these applications from astrology, but the other, energetic, spiritual mindset embodiment tools that we talk about in the book. I started being like, oh my God, like, I'm like, this this stuff really works. Like this work works because I'm watching everyone run with it in their own way. And they continually inspire me. I don't know if anybody here is a teacher in any ways or talking about something. Tara, I'm sure you can relate to this, and you're saying something. And after a while, you're like, is this making sense? Or am I just saying the same things? Or like, is this landing? And then my community, even last night, I had an event, and one of my clients who moved from New York to Colorado surprised me at the event. And she had a big old rock on her finger, and she's like, she started working with me looking for love, and of course we like tapped into so much more. But she's engaged to a beautiful man who's like so aligned and makes her feel so nourished and like herself. And she was like, yeah, like these certain things you had me do at the time, I was like rolling my eyes at them. um, but she's like, I really see now. And those are the stories that I'm like, I like the whole book is just filled with that. Everything that I put in the book is something that happened in my life or in my community's life. And it's basically a love letter to astrology, to spirit, but to all of them and their journeys. So there's that. And then the Manifest Your Partner workshop, I do not do things like that lightly. Like I am not that person. Like I promise I can help you manifest your partner because I don't really know what I'm doing with that. But what I did realize after doing it for myself, and again, working with a lot of people to tap into their purpose is what my main work, but also like a different type of embodied leadership in their purpose, right? Can we lead with more intuition and play and visibility that feels good and more of this like cosmic leadership? We started realizing that, oops, accidentally people were falling in love and being like partners they'd always dreamed of and having the best relationships because that's just what this work is. Like when you step into your authentic self, when you start living in alignment and like trusting the universe that you're co-creating with life and it's happening through you, not just to you, and you become this like embodied force of nature, you're like, yeah, of course, like the whole life gets the up level. So in the seventh key, the Libra key in my book, I kind of tease out like a mini version of some of the stuff that's in the Manifest Your Partner workshop. Of course, in the workshop, there's some more like I'm guiding you through some practices, some meditations. But that's like the jump if you want a little sneak peek. And I just did a Libra new moon call 2 days ago, and people in the call were like, "No, that workshop, like I just have to say it really does a thing." Because again, it's about finding the one by becoming the one. And that's all the work I do is like reminding you like nothing you need is outside of you. And we're not going to attract from a place of lack or needing to like fix ourselves. it's like, can I work on shifting my energy into being the match for the person that is going to be able to, be a mirror for my light and help me do more good in the world than I can do apart, and be a safe place for me to land where I don't have to hide myself, right? Because that's so exhausting and like do not recommend. And then I guess leads me to Life Wizard. It's a lot of a very Libra heavy conversation. My Libra life wizard, he's a Libra stellium, and he is just the gift of a lifetime for me. And I never knew. I'm a Virgo, oldest of 4 daughters. I just was like, I don't even know if I want to ever get married. I just like my alone time. I like doing, I'm hyper independent to a fault, but I had to do some healing and shadow work around. And I found him during my Saturn return, and truly meeting him was the first person that I met that I was like, I want to be a better version of myself, like not just for me, but for this person. And I never realized that was a big part of the spiritual journey sometimes, is someone who's a mirror to you and seeing you. He saw through to me in a way no one ever saw me. I hid a lot of myself. So it was very vulnerable for me, but it was very freeing. And then I was like, okay, now I want to like kind of be the person he thinks I am. And it helped me walk in more integrity. And my relationship part of my chart is in Capricorn. And the Capricorn part of my chart is about, my book is about leading with integrity, like leaving a legacy in your life that you're proud of. And I really think that my Libra life wizard really helped me live with more integrity. And it sounds like boring, doesn't sound very sexy, but it created so much more room for joy and sexiness to help me be this like grounded, supported version of herself who was, just being better with my schedule, my time, my commitments, my not leaking my energy out. And now we keep coming back to like our chart, and we're both in our Venus return right now. I'm about to enter my Mars return, and we keep joking that we have these two, and life should just feel like crazy, and it is. But we also have never felt more in love, more attracted to each other, more having more fun. And I think that is because so much of like when we've gotten into sticky spots, we had the tools to realize that like rupture was something where we can repair it, right? And relationships aren't just a linear journey where they're not just like, oh, good, forever, up and up and up, right? Like we have to go through little moments to be like, oh, let's crack open and then see if we can stitch our hearts a little bit closer and deeper. And that's all like I talk about that in the workshop. But I think anyone here may say like a spiritual journey on your own is one thing, but then when you get into a relationship, you're like, oh, okay, now I really have to. Okay, on my own, this was so easy, but now I have to learn about like compromise and communication, right, and all of these things. But it makes it so much more activated. So I hope that answers questions or maybe provides some food for thought. But let me know if anything resonation or more questions that you want me to answer from that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're going on with timing because we have you till 7, correct? Or 6:45.
7 on my calendar, and
Okay,
I haven't
great.
done it.
Make sure communications, lubrication. All right, we got it. So one of the things I had questions about, what archetypes were difficult to write in the book or maybe to embody in your own life?
I guess like the biggest one I just trust the first instinct. The first archetype, the first key, the Aries key, why not me? Um, I think I really, again, another moment that I really felt deeper in love with astrology was when I realized that there's just a part of me that just always feels like it felt really unsafe taking up too much space, being my authentic self, going after things, saying I wanted something, saying I desired something, putting myself out there in any kind of capacity of visibility felt weird and unsafe. And I am sort of like a very awkward human being, but very happy, like very awkward. And so I always was like, I feel like everyone else has this all like figured out. They have some cheat code to life, and I'm just here like dropping in, like, what are we doing, guys? And everything I did like messy or big or too all over the place. And the Aries energy. And I realized it from working with the seasons that every Aries season, I had a moment, since I started working with astrology, to put myself out there and to tap into, it rules my 10th house of career. So it's definitely always tied to career, but visibility, kind of owning my inner authority, of like being what I like to call like the bad bitch archetype, because my sister is an Aries and she is the coolest, most confident, without having to talk about it, just being about it person. And she always speaks her mind, stands up for what's right. She wears whatever she wants. She walks and moves through life with this like ease that like blows my mind, because that is not me. I'm a Virgo. I'm just like overthinking. I'm like, I'm being cool. Am I being cool how everyone else is being cool? Or like, is this cool? Did I get all the right things to research to be cool and prepared this moment? And I think a lot of things in life, I would still be overthinking them. I would still be waiting to feel permission to start my community, to start my podcast, to write this book, if I was just in my Virgo energy. But every time it's been so hard. Every time it's hard, but every time I remind myself, last time you did it, it paid off. So like just go there again, going into that Aries energy, even writing the book. I was like, who am I to write a book? Like, I don't have fancy letters. I'm not like PhD, MA, LNROP. Like, I have no, I'm just a person who's been collecting information on the earth plane. And I think some of it's helpful. And, I had so many doubts, but that like dropping into that Aries energy, like, why not me? Like someone has to write a book. People write books all the time, and like I'm doing this for myself and to like prove something, not prove something, but to bring something out in the world, but also to bring something out in me that's important. And so it's always the hardest one for me to embody. But when I do, I'm like, ooh, there's that Aries magic. I needed that.
This is like calling me out so much. This was the first key. I was like reading it, and it's so funny because I'm an Aries, but my Aries is in the 11th house and it's intercepted. So it's like that everyone's looking at me like, where you care? Like this imposter syndrome. So I was like, why? I am an Aries. Why am I not? Like, why do I feel like I shouldn't be doing this? Or like, I don't know, I'm behind the scenes. Like the whole community here, everyone online always is like, when Kara comes out, it's amazing, but then she hermits forever. So I really, this is the, like, even before I thought, I don't, you know what? I didn't even read the rest of this book yet. And this first chapter or first key was like, I don't, yeah, yeah. So thank you so much. Like, it's really been knocking around in my head. And then, of course, the second key for me, I'm going to go into my questions now or my remarks. For those of you who didn't get to that part yet, it's really early in the book. Was I've been healing from burnout, and so much of me has been leaning into the Taurus energy. And I have a Taurus North node, so it makes me feel really good. All of a sudden, like plants are showing up around me, all the sensual nature of life. I'm like, yeah, look at this nice pearl thing. Look at this nice soft. And I'm really like when you were saying in the book, I was like, yes, this is so validating. I am naturally moving into this archetype to, really heal the burnout and this feelings of like, no sensual pleasures left. So thank you so much. All of it. And now the ninth key is like where I'm really just opening my heart up, blast my heart open. Let's go into curiosity. Oh, I expect this is how it's going to turn out. Because being psychic, sometimes we make assumptions it's not actually psychic. We're like, because of our like, what I've been hurt or whatever. And then I'm like, no, I'm making an assumption here because of a past thing. So I'm really leaning into the ninth key right now. We were just talking about this at lunch today. So I wanted to say thank you. Those are my comments, not questions. I have more questions on here, but I wanted to ask if Teal or Emily or Lori or anybody else has questions before I go into the rest we have here.
I'm good.
I don't have a question right now. Yay. We were talking, we had a lot of chats in our private community on our Mighty Networks. We were talking back and forth about all that stuff. So yeah, we could talk more too about it. Especially because we're on recording. So not everybody wants to be on the recording. So the other question is, in the book, you talk about your unique timing, to trust your new unique timing. And I was thinking it's really interesting because in a world where you follow astrology and your conscious community follows astrology, it's so easy to say to your gals, yeah, it's just like my Pluto square right now, so I'm not doing anything else, or I'm waiting for this. But how do you navigate when you feel pressured by the world, like that's naive to astrology, or that's just like there are other timelines and like logical necessities that need to be done when you know your astrology timing is not lined up for it.
Just to answer in a two-part way. One, I just am always encouraging people, even outside of me, like just to trust that they are divine timing. And that's one thing I want to get across, whether that's people, again, like in the book, I was like, I would love if people to go deeper and start studying their cycles and what's happening. But even if you don't, just that truth, just that permission to like, I trust my divine timing can open up just your whole field to so much more magic. Because again, one thing I really struggled with, for the first, I don't know, 35 years of my life, 36 years of my life, which is like, am I behind on time? Look at everyone else's timeline. That's like business things, family, whatever, getting married. But I also knew in my gut, I was like, no, you're building something really on purpose, with purpose that's yours. And it feels really good. So why are you getting so hung up? Right. And also it just is such a way, a permission of moving through life. It wasn't something work out. I'm like, okay, just not right. The block is the blessing. It'll happen in divine timing if it's meant to. And it just helps you, like, it's kind of like a secret, like, spell to come back into that place of flow where the universe is like, great, now we can hand you the next thing, instead of being like, why isn't this thing working out right now? And the universe is behind you, like, we have a gift, but it's behind you, and you're just like obsessing over this one piece of like time. And in that Chronos time, like, things are, sort of made up. We need Chronos time. I talk about that in the book. Chronos time is chronological time. It's the clock, it's calendars, it's how I got on the Zoom right now. Like, I'm not saying we don't need it, because how would we get anything done? Like, I'll just meet you in the mythic space for the Zoom, or to my dentist. They're like, what? But when it comes to our lives and our journey, and the mythical journey that I think all of us are on, it's like that's where we have to surrender to like the kairos, like the feeling of like, wow. And sometimes we get in that space of like, time is bendy, right? Like, we something you really love, or being with people you're amazed with, or even just like this year 2025 was like, it's been like a snap of the finger, because we're in a very like sped up sort of timeline astrologically. Like, just knowing that time is bendy has really helped me. And also, just a secret tip I'll share is that, like, I love the mantra, like, time is always working in my favor. I've used that in like big things, like, having children, and all the way to things like, I have to get from the Lower East Side to Midtown West in 30 minutes during rush hour. And I'm like, time is always working in my favor. And it just, time bends around you, right? It's a fun mantra. So there's that. When other people try to get me to do something and it's not on my personal astrological timeline, I think is what I'm hearing in the other part of that question. Um, I guess like there's some things I've had to do. I've done all the things you shouldn't do. Like, I have signed mortgages, given birth, moved multiple times under Mercury retrograde. It's just part of my life path. I'm like, so there's certain things, like, things happen, and sometimes I try to move things around, but it's like a baby comes and a baby comes, right? And my Mercury retrograde birth was freaking hilarious. Like, everything went wrong. Everything. I literally had to tell the nursing staff and my midwife, I'm like, did you guys do this thing? And they're like, oh, we almost forgot. And I was like, okay. It is real, the Mercury retrograde, like, hijinks, but that's Mercury. That's day to day. That's like stuff that you can kind of laugh off, or learn a lesson of like fluidity through the message in the mess, if you will. And then larger things, like, I just went through my Pluto square, and I did have to say no a lot, and put up boundaries with certain people or things, because I knew I was in such a deep excavation and a deep rebirth, and I didn't totally know what it was when it was happening, but I felt it. So it's like, on the micro kind of Mercury things, like, sometimes you have to just roll with it and be like, yep, sorry, like, this is the one day this person can, my lease has to start on this day because I need a place to live, so I have to sign it. But then in larger things, I think you can use your astrological timelines to just understand, like, either opportunities, and taking advantage of them. obstacles that you might have to navigate with just more awareness, or just give yourself more permission of like, hey, I would love to, even my first chance to write a book, it wasn't really in the cards astrologically for me. And it felt really forced and it felt really yucky. And I was like, I don't want to write a book at a place of like performing and feeling stressed. So I turned down that book offer. And I think everyone around me, including parts of me, were like, what are you doing? Like, that's like all you want to do. And you just said no. But I just knew it was not, that was not the time for me.
I have you go another question. Next question. We have any questions on the list? Oh, let's see. Let's see here. That's it. This one. How would you? How do you know when you are totally in alignment and vibing with your highest self? Maybe for you.
For me personally, yeah, that's that in that cosmic zone feeling. I just feel kind of back to I feel like I'm flirting with life and like we're having fun. Like you ever have that conversation you have with someone where like, oh my God, the banter is popping off. Like this is so fun. I feel like that, but with like spirit and my higher self. And there is just such is literally feels like flow, like ease, like okay, even if I'm doing crazy, all the things are happening. I'm like, this is so much fun. I feel really present, really playful, and um, the presence feeling. Because I'm not in the cosmic zone is where I go too far in the past, looking at things, or I'm too far in the future in my head. But like, I will literally feel buzzy, and I and I literally will just say all the time out loud when I'm in that feeling. I'll just be like, God damn, magic is real. Magic is real, y'all. Like, I'll stare at my husband. I'm like, magic. Like, I'm like, are you believing in this right now? Like, magic? I'm like, how do people not believe magic is real? Like, because it just feels like a childlike wonder and joy, like, takes over my body. But my present adult self can realize the kind of work it takes to feel that free and that much in flow. Um, and it's just like it's the playfulness that comes um where it creates, I don't know, chicken or egg in this trust. Feeling when things are going horrible, but I'm still not, I'm like, okay, great, this is happening for a reason when I think it wasn't meant to work out, or and it allows space for that more magic to come from that. So I hope that answers a question or offers up something.
Yes. Yes. Okay, everybody, you have last chance to answer any question. Put in your comments, even if it's not a question, put in your comments all the good things. I'm going to ask, I think, one or two more questions here. I have one more question I'm going to ask, but if anyone has something at home, we have time for a couple. And then we're going to go into, I want Maddie to share all the cool things because she has a lot of amazing stuff that I would love for you guys to have access to tap into. And I will make sure that the links or any links she shares in the chat, that they'll go into the recording in Mighty Network. So when you guys want to watch the recording or watch the repost, Alana will put that up. So my question here then would be, since you were talking about, you know, being in that flow, being in your highest self, you talk about in the book when people are more in their comfort zone versus like in the cosmic zone, the name of the book. So what are the things that you feel are signs that we could, I mean, you're in the book, but just rehashing signs that you're in the comfort zone, that how do we get out of that into our highest cosmic zone? Yeah, that's my question.
So like for me personally, and again, from working with like my clients and my community, the big thing is that I feel like the one of the biggest signs you're in like a comfort zone, and not that we don't like comfort, right? Pleasure is key, but there's a moment of like feeling safe and feel comfortable, and there's a way of it feels like you're hiding or dimming your light or like clipping your own wings. And so one of them is like, I do think it's when you're someone else's external validation or applause, or that you are not doing something because of some external pressure that you feel to be or act a certain way, right? Like I work with people who are in, unhappy jobs, unhappy marriages, unhappy lives, and they felt the call to do something different. And if you're expecting everyone in your life to be like, yes, do this, like it might not happen like that. Like maybe there's a few ride or dies who get it, but a lot of people, even the people who care about us the most, they want us to feel safe. They want us almost in our comfort zone. So you say, I want to do this big thing, I want to make a radical shift. Sometimes like there can be such a fear mirrored back to you. So I just want to encourage people, like, if you feel it, if you already feel there's a pull to leave a comfort zone in a certain area of life, it feels like a pulling, like a longing, like everything else starts to feel like you're turning down the technicolor, like you're starting to live in like the Kansas part of Wizard of Oz. Everything's like black and white feeling, kind of numb, kind of dull. um it's like the cosmic zone is calling, and you're not going to feel like yourself again. You're not going to feel lit up until you trust it and let it take you somewhere, because if you feel that call, it's because you are meant for something more. And you might not even know. I didn't even know what it was. Like when I started this, I was like, I just feel like I'm meant for something more, but I don't know what it is, and I don't know what I even want. But I'm just gonna kind of keep following my next yes, like that next like pull of something. And even if it doesn't make sense, especially if it doesn't make sense. So if you're feeling numb or disconnected anyway, I will just guarantee you this. I don't know everyone's personal backstory, but I do know that that is not your natural state. That is not how you're meant to feel. And that you are born really in this time, like on purpose, with purpose. And it's up to you to kind of take those first scary, shaky steps out of the comfort zone. But I promise you, there is a force, a power so much greater than you that is like rejoicing when you do that, and will be there right there. Like, okay, here, we've got you, right, to the next step. So like it's a feeling, a longing that comes from within, and it's probably having to break through like a picture like a breaking through like a womb, like a mucus energy, like a plug of all of everyone else's expectations and stories. And like before you get out into like the birth canal. My sisters gave birth today, so as you could tell, it's on my mind right now. But like in the rebirthing of you, it's like not always, birth isn't always this like easy, glamorous, right, journey. There's a lot of discomfort that actually like you need to find yourself and to live in that place of like ease.
Okay, okay, cool. So final wrapping up. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're gonna have Maddie, I'll wrap up after she's gonna be sharing because I want her to share all her good stuff. But just a reminder to everybody who's online that if you didn't get the book yet, till the end of the month, we have some left over here at New Visions. And it is 10% off. It's always 10% off all the book club books. But also I have the audiobook too. Like I feel like some people are like, I'm too busy to read, or I can't function to read, or I'm on the computer all day and I don't want to read at home and I want to be done. Totally get the audiobook. I'm listening to it and I love it because you read it, Maddie. It's in your voice, and that's like I really love that. There's the flair, your personality, you're flirting with me. I feel like you're like, yeah, here you go. But that's where I feel like the out of the comfort zone into the cosmic zone. If you could, you're making music for us.
I am. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm
Let
so
it go.
No,
Fine.
finish talking and then I'll.
So I really encourage you guys, because especially Matthew, we were talking about like you being the deep diver, this whole Scorpio vibe, the eighth E that Maddie talks about in her book. Like, so like, I was thinking a lot of you since we have the archetype talking in the community, but I feel like what's helped me the most of getting out of the comfort zone and the cosmic zone is just this first key you called me out. Like I need the imposter syndrome. I need to move into my Aries vibe. Like I think that's what's helping me with the archetypes in your book to move past some of these blocks so I can get back into my highest, this is where I'm supposed to be, my authentic expression. So thank you very much for creating this book and all the things you're doing. So I know that not everyone knows all the cool stuff you do. So share away so we can hear all about what you have out in the world so we can connect in.
and all of that. And I love that. And that's what I want. I want all my baddies, all my cuties, all my just like, the witchy weirdos and mystical misfits. Like we are the ones who are gonna like, do all this repairing and joyful reimagining in the world. So I need everyone feeling unlocked, exactly what you just said, unlocked with these keys. And so if you want further guidance, support, time, obviously my website has a litany of things to go on there, but I do a weekly podcast that just does the astrological weather on Mondays for the week. So breaking down what you need to know and what I hope is accessible, easy to understand terms. We have an Astro Academy where you can do everything from birth chart basics to business coaching using your birth chart. And what else? We have a community that we do like live new moon calls and all kinds of worksheets and rituals. And just a lot of magic happens there. And then on my website, there's the decoder you just did. We do a birth chart, a quiz of like what maybe cosmic zone key is ready for you, most right for you right now. So you can just explore, poke around there, or just come find me on Instagram and like, be friends, hang out, slide in the DMs and all that.
Anything else you want to share? Anyone else? Anything?
Just thank you.
Yeah,
for
thank you
visiting.
so much for being here. Thank you everyone at home. Thank you watching the recording, everybody. And I don't know, guys, but you guys know that we have our big 24th annual New Visions Holistic Expo next year, and we have all this connections, and we have Pip was connecting us with some of you guys, so we don't know who's coming, but we do know that the local people, at least in the East Coast, we might have. I know have Deborah, she's probably coming. We're bringing some of the Hay House people in for our 24th annual New Visions Expo. So we may have Maddie
I'd love to
available.
be there. I would love to be there. I love an in-person hang, a squeeze, a hug. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I would love to, see as many of you as we can. And just, I love that you do this. It's so beautiful and it's so needed. And I just commend each and every one of you for showing up for yourselves, for the collective with just this energy of being curious, of wanting to learn more, wanting to grow deeper. And thank you for sharing your most non-renewable resource with me, which is your time. And thank you to everyone for just hanging out tonight.
Thank you. Time is always in our favor.
Hey, someone's learned A+ gold star for you.
Thank you so much again for your time, Maddie, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your year.
Yes, beautiful. Okay, bye everyone.
Bye. Oh.
Bye, love her.